You've seen AI evolve from being a symbolic engine to today, where we're dealing with a trillion parameters in one of the large language models. I know you are a fan of Test cricket. If AI was a Test cricket match, what day, what session are we on?
Good one. It is certainly more of a test cricket than a one day cricket or T20. It's certainly it's a much longer engagement. I would still say we are in the first inning of even the opening inning. Maybe certainly we are in the first day or at most the second day.
Mm.
Okay, because it hasn't. There are a number of key questions AI hasn't answered yet. One is, what is consciousness? This is the
Mm.
question that got me interested in this at AC Tech. So an individual neuron is not self-aware, but you hook 100 billion of them in a particular way, and the whole thing is self-aware. So how does that happen? Um, we don't have a clue yet. And the question I'm asking is, what is the mathematics of consciousness? Okay. Um, that's a very difficult question because we can't even define what consciousness is yet. Then you have to come up with a mathematical framework that explains it. Now, one thought that I've been thinking about for a while is maybe it requires a new mathematics that we have not invented yet.
Mm.
If you look at the history of scientific progress uh, in the last 400 years, roughly, modern science as we know it started in 1600s with Tycho Brahe, the Danish astronomer, who was carefully plotting the movements of the planets, including Mars, and had very, very precise data. And so he was the very first careful experimenter documenting the movements of planets. And it is that data that is his postdoc used to discover the laws of planetary motion. I am, of
Sure.
course, talking about Johannes Kepler. Kepler was Tycho Brahe's postdoc. And, um, and in fact, there is an island called Wien near Copenhagen. So from Copenhagen, you take a ferry in the summer, it's about an hour's drive. You can go to this island where Tycho Brahe lived and worked for 25 years, plotting the movements of planets every single day, including Christmas and New Year. Through even bitter winter, he was there taking measurements and very precise measurements. And it is that measurement that Kepler used to discover the three laws of motion. The first law took him about 10 years. And then other two, number two and three, another 10 years or so. It's a 20-year work. So if you go back to the beginnings of modern science, which started with Brahe, then came Galileo, and Galileo and Kepler, they were more or less contemporaries, and it is all that progress which Isaac Newton benefited from in formulating um, Newton's laws of motion and universal gravitation and so on. So if you look at the last 400 years, whenever physics needed a mathematical framework to explain a problem, such as quantum mechanics or relativity, the math already existed.
Mm.
For example, for Einstein, for general theory of relativity, the underlying mathematics is nonlinear geometry developed by Riemann. And that work had been done 50 years before Einstein needed it. And quantum mechanics, when Heisenberg discovered his version, he didn't realize that what he had done, was he had reinvented rediscovered matrix multiplication. So matrices existed before they were needed. The only time I can think of in the last 400 years when physics needed math and the math wasn't there and it had to be invented was Newton's law of gravitation, in predicting the Kepler's laws from the inverse square law, Newton had to invent calculus. That is the only occasion. And so I suspect the math for consciousness might exist already, but it's possible that we may have to come up with an entirely new mathematical framework. So this is an open question. So AI is still in the early innings. And so, people are talking about AGI, for example, and artificial general intelligence. And that is, going towards that, we still have to sort out these fundamental questions.